Welcome back. Before we do get fully started, I just want to thank you all so much for getting all the way to part 4. And if you're new to this series, there's a playlist link down below to get caught up, or if you missed anything, you can find it there. And just thank you from the bottom of my heart for watching. If you like this series, I know it's a bit early for this, but please like, share it around, sub, hype, all the usual YT stuff. I normally don't like doing this, but we're halfway through the main series now, and I have ideas for stuff to continue it, but for now, this is a big milestone, so I just cannot state how thankful I am for anyone watching and how much it would mean to get this shared around. With the usual preamble out of the way though, let's recap some of what happened in the last part, though there's not too much to do so. Amy swapping roles with Sonic, while a lot of specifics have changed, led to a very similar story overall. Shadow still fell to Earth, and Eggman teased his survival slightly, but was unable to break the news fully. Amy as a whole led to a lot smoother plot for the heroes of SA2, though Sonic might disagree. With that though, that's everything out of the way. Let's get started, shall we? We cut first into this part at the vacation. Amy finally getting to sit back and relax for the first time in a while. Something she's not truly done since before what's now Amy Adventure 1. Vanilla, Cream, and Cheese, and even another child they brought along, Chocola, are all having a blast while Amy is laying out having a tan. And Tails is working on the Sakura pedal just to make sure everything was fine with it. A bit into the vacation, however, tragedy strikes the group. Cream and Vanilla wake up in their rooms, but Cheese is nowhere to be found. Amy and Tails had gotten up onto the beach early, so they ran out to tell the two the news, only for them to receive a flying note that Tails quickly grabs. It read simply that, "I've kidnapped your precious Chow. If you want to ever see them again, come and find me before I complete my next plan. Signed, Eggman." Amy, upon hearing the note read out by Tails, instantly set it into motion, running into the hotel to get changed back into her normal outfit and grab her hammer, before calling Creams and Tails into action, creating Team Rose quite differently, as Amy fulfills both the speed and power roles now. As for the other characters we have to talk about, for the other teams, Sonic had gotten a letter from Eggman talking about how he'll destroy the world with the Master Emerald. He goes to Angel Island and ends up wrapping Knuckles into this, who easily hops into the fray with the threat. But what they didn't expect was for Big the Cat, of all people, asking to join them, as he had received his own letter from Eggman telling him that he kidnapped Froggy again, just like in SA1 or Amy Adventure 1 now. They make up the new Team Sonic, though the lack of Tails here does mean they actually have to rely on Big's fishing rod more than normal. The other two teams, meanwhile, are at the same point as in canon, Rouge finding Shadow, who she presumes is an android for the time being, and teaming up with him and Omega, and the Chaotix still get that mysterious call to save whoever it is on the Egg Fleet. And thus, Amy Heroes is officially set into motion. Our first notable change from canon comes between the rival fights of each team. First being, of course, the fight between Team Rose and Team Sonic. As the two teams meet, Amy's wondering what's going on, while Sonic, meanwhile, is furious for some reason. almost screaming at Amy that this is his time to take down Eggman and shine as a true hero. Amy, confused and frustrated, tells Sonic that if he wants to do so, and if he truly thinks he can take on Eggman all by his own, he's gonna have to prove it to her, bringing out her hammer as this almost sibling-like squabble begins. Cream and Big are a bit confused, but Knuckles and Tails can't help themselves from at least having some fun in the distraction, even if Tails himself isn't much of a fighter. The outcome was clear from the start, however, as in spite of Knuckles' superior strength, Sonic's superior speed, and even Big being quite the durable wall, the two girls and the young fox easily dispatched Team Sonic, leaving them dazed for a bit before picking them up.
Maybe if you keep trying, you'll surpass me, Sonic. But I'm not gonna make it easy for you.
Amy's tenacious, optimistic behavior brings a smile to Sonic's face in spite of the defeat, and the two go on their merry way. After this, we get the encounter between Team Dark and Team Rose now in Mystic Jungle. Originally it was Team Sonic, but given the changes here, they're going to be facing off against the Chaotix later. So, what happens here is very interesting as Amy instantly screams up, seeing Shadow. She's almost on the verge of tears in complete disbelief, wondering how he could still be alive. Shadow is just confused and doesn't know what she's talking about, while Rouge is saying for them to get out of the way while they hunt down Eggman. Instantly, Amy gets furious, and Tails actually backs her up, saying that they are the ones trying to stop Eggman here. You all will probably just get in the way. It seems to annoy Omega even quite a bit, to the point where he gets involved, throwing in that he will be the one to personally destroy Eggman. And the battle ensues, close enough to normal. However, there would be a post-battle scene, unlike all others. Before leaving after defeating Team Dark, Amy would ask, genuinely,
Shadow, is that you? Is that actually you?
Rouge stays quiet but looks away, and Omega just stares at the group. Shadow, meanwhile, says merely, I am Shadow. Whether or not I am the real Shadow, I do not know. Amy pauses at this, but doesn't take it hard enough to truly change her mindset on anything. In the end, hearing this, she begins to tear up before just running away, Tails and Cream running after her to try and cheer her up. This is when everything starts to go back on track for Heroes, however. After this encounter and more stuff going to canon, there would only be a few smaller changes, however. The first of which in Hang Castle, where when flipped, the statue of Eggman now resembles more a modified version of Metal Amy instead of what we of course would see as Neo Metal Sonic. I don't have art of this, so I'm presuming I'm just using the normal image from before. Another thing that changes, however, confuses Rouge greatly. Rouge finds the clone room still. The android room, I should specify, with Omega. And also, after defeating the Egg Albatross, they would have noticed one of these clones as well, but all of them have a key difference compared to their canon counterpart. That being that they are their canon counterpart. All of them are red, not pink. There is no pink hues, only red. This confuses the Bat greatly, and Omega isn't much help trying to help her process anything. However, it does give her hope that, for whatever reason, that was the real Shadow that she saved in that pod. The true ultimate life form. She isn't sure fully yet though, and she would never get a good place to tell him about all of this. So in the end, just like in canon, it would be something left for the next game in line. Eventually, however, just like in canon, all of the teams converge on the egg fleet and the final egg carrier. Specifically, this time, a modified version of the final fortress based off the egg carrier in SA1, as the second one was never destroyed. They end up freeing Chocola and Froggy, and even the mastermind they thought was behind all of this, Eggman himself, hidden in a closet where he's proceeded to beat up by the Chaotix. Funny scene as always. Before finally, with all 7 Chaos Emeralds secretly gathered by the separated groups, the true mastermind behind all of this unveils herself. Neo Metal Amy had used all of this chaos to analyze and assimilate the combat data of all of the teams, and was now ready to ascend to a form far beyond Neo. Metal Madness, a true combination with the final egg carrier, like in canon. But as the teams fought against the monstrosity, it couldn't help but gloat about being the true ultimate life form, about how it knows everything they can do, yet the teams were still able to weaken it to a point of fully enraging Metal Amy. The robot finally takes on a new form, making them ascend into Metal Empress, another winged dragon made of metal flying off the ship. As I'm not an artist, I can't really display it here other than a recolor Metal Overlord, but it would be a different form. It would be a very different form with a lot more spikes and a lot more regality to it. Similar enough to canon, however, Amy uses the Chaos Emeralds everyone had collected up to this point to go into Super Amy. And she gives the little super bubbles this time to Tails and Sonic, not Cream, because she sees this as far too dangerous for Cream and she trusts her older brother more. If there was any group which could take this down, these 3 would be it. Metal Empress gloats over her loathsome copy in her super form. How she has become the true Amy Rose, surpassing her copy in every way. How she isn't held back by the love and affection and carry that drags down her copy so often, and that she revels in the destruction and power she has. Her power genuinely isn't to be scoffed at either. Unlike Metal Overlord, Metal Empress uses hammers on top of the occasional entire Egg Fleet ship that she throws and tries to ram into them, just like Metal Overlord did. And her speed far outpaces even the girl's super form, in spite of how fast it is, finally getting back at her for her defeat so many years ago at this point. Yet, for all the changes, Super Amy, Sonic, and Tails and the Bubbles, they push themselves to their limits and far beyond, not only beginning to match, but even surpass Metal Empress in every single regard. The strength and speed she so touted against her copy had proven ineffective at handling beings who could truly grow. And with one final team attack, Metal Empress goes down, with Metal Amy fully reverting on the hull of the final egg carrier, barely working. Her design at this point would be a different one, however, to the classic Metal Amy. This would be a new modern Metal Amy. She wonders how she could be defeated by such flawed, weaker creatures, and Amy merely gives her a single line of advice. All that love, caring, and compassion has allowed me to grow.
And until you can truly grow as well, you will never beat me. You're definitely welcome to try again, though.
That final part was said with a devilish smirk and a wink, almost taunting the bot before it collapsed unconscious. With that, Amy and Tails went to Cream and Cheese and Chocola and said that they should probably return to Vanilla before she gets too worried and mad at them for taking so long. Vector overhears the fact that Vanilla might be worried, and in spite of the Chaotix not getting the money they needed and wanted both, he chimes in that they'd love to come by and visit. Everyone, including the other two members of the Chaotix, are a bit confused by this, but she doesn't turn it down. Though she does tell Vector it's quite the fancy place, and she wonders if he'll even be able to afford it. He mutters something under his breath, flustered about finding something, before darting off. Charmy and SBO carrying off the broken bot to Eggman before joining Vector in whatever he had planned. Turns out, their missions this time around had led Vector to discovering some stashed away money that they were going to use in the case that the deal fell through. But his want to see Vanilla again was getting the better of him. And with that, everyone heads off back to the hotel that was going there. Sonic goes his own way. Knuckles goes back to guarding the Master Emerald. Everybody else heads out. And Amy Heroes comes to a close. Though I still want to touch on one or two more games before we leave this part. First off, Shadow the Hedgehog would go similar to canon. Though the canon route is of course up to much debate, and I personally would go along the lines of one of the more commonly used canon routes that people debate on, with Shadow encountering the androids of himself and all. However, when he does encounter the androids of himself, he actually doesn't believe he is one this time. There's a clear design flaw with them compared to his own looks, being the red instead of pink. When confronting Eggman about this during their final fight, he asks why the Shadow androids failed to mimic him, the true Shadow the Hedgehog. Eggman doesn't budge and even continues with his manipulation at first, though he isn't buying it. But during the fight against Devil Doom, Eggman finally opens up. He isn't just the real Shadow. The pink seems to have been caused by something beyond mere DNA. Something Gerald presumably expected given his notes, but all attempts with the android replicas ended in failure. This is because the androids were actually based more on the Black Arms, why Gerald used the mural one of his sons found, according to Shadow Gens. With that, Shadow defeats Devil Doom, blows up the Black Comet with the Eclipse Cannon, and we can move on to Sonic Battle. Oh right, we kinda gotta touch on this one as it's gonna change quite a bit. In spite of what I just said, the overall plot of Sonic Battle wouldn't change too much. But Sonic and Amy being swapped would have a major change occur for both Emerald and Shadow. See, Amy's nature is to reach out into people and try and find their true love, their true compassion and caring that's in everyone. And this would actually see the link between Gerald and Emerald broken early, linking him to Amy of all people as the Gizoid learns what it means to truly be compassionate and caring. And it learns that even though it is a weapon, One that was so powerful that just its existence alone caused the collapse of an entire civilization in the past, though thanks to retcons we don't know how. He knows he can do good. He can help people and learn and grow beyond what others want. The overall plot again goes the same for a bit, save for Shadow, who is more willing to trust Emerald, seeing as how Amy's actually gotten to the Gizoid, to open him up so much, leading to him even trusting Emerald with the Chaos Emeralds much earlier than in canon, to the point where he actually thinks it'd be more fun to hand them off as they get them, to truly see the robot's capabilities. Eventually, however, Eggman does get his hands on the Gizoid, and he tries to reprogram and show off the final Egg Blaster to him. However, Emerald is sputtering, code fighting against code, will and nurture fighting against nature. Amy had truly gotten to the core of the Gizoid to become more or less its own person. So Eggman hijacking him actually doesn't work as intended, with his code fighting back and any chance of a link being formed with anyone ever again being completely severed. He knocks out Eggman still, but Emerald lives. He's fighting very hard against what happened. But eventually, the code Eggman injected into him is ejected from Emerald. Shadow is moved beyond words by this display, wondering if Gerald giving it a soul copied after Maria's caused this, but Amy adds to it. It's not just that his soul was based off of a pure, innocent girl. Emerald is now their own person in a way. All it took was for someone to open up their heart, their true heart. Amy blushes, feeling a sense of pride and motherhood mixing in, as she realizes this is all because of her. She is the one to have saved Emerald in this timeline. They pick up the unconscious doctor and destroy everything in the base, leading to the events coming to a close with Emerald at this point. Once they all get down, though, he mentions how he wants to explore the world, go on his own, find who he truly is, what he truly is, and what he truly wants to be, and help anyone he can in the process. See? I kinda did tell you that Sonic Battle would be very important here. The next game in the series is Advance 3, and in spite of this major change and the appearance of Gemerald, not much would change until the very end, where Emerald would come in to help stop Eggman and Gemerald, but that just ends up with Amy in her super form launching Emerald at the completed super version of the Gizoid I forget the name of, before finally defeating Gemerald for good, and Eggman is just defeated for good this time. Afterwards, Vanilla still gets her butler, and it's perfect. Cream, Vanilla, and Gemerald living on as they do up until the events of IDW start. Nothing really changes there. And with that, we've completed most of this part. There isn't really much else to talk about, as the next thing that's coming up, well, surely it's what someone needs, right?
Stop your proceed, 'cause this is what you need. Don't stop your proceed, 'cause this is what you don't stop the need. Don't stop your proceed, 'cause this is what you need. Don't stop your proceed, 'cause this is what you need. Stop your proceed, 'cause this is what you need.
Thank you all so much for watching this. If you enjoyed this, as I said at the start before, even though I hate saying the usual YouTube jargon, like, share, hype, yada yada, you know the drill. I hate saying it. I know people need to be told it for me to grow, but still, it just feels hollow. I don't like doing it. Y'all just do what you want. It does help out if you do it all, but again, I'm not your mom. I'm not your dad. You can't. Yeah. While we've gotten through a lot of the series so far, we've even gotten out of everything from Adventure 1 to 05 with Shadow. We still have one more game to go before we get into a very, very different story that will be a very wild ride, and that will take up most of the next part is the next game. Obviously, I'm alluding to Rush, as is very obvious, but yeah. I hope you all are very excited for it. There's probably going to be a delay between this part and the next part, even more than the past few, because the holidays are coming up for me, and I'm probably not going to have the time to do certain things, so odds are this will be the last part for about a month-ish. I was planning on doing a 2-week release schedule, but if there isn't another part in 2 weeks after this goes live, expect it to be in 2 more weeks after that, because then everything should have calmed down by then at least. I will try my best to get the next part out though, so just stick with me. I hope you all enjoy it. With all that said, hope you all have a good day, night, week, rest of the year, whatever. I hope to see you again sometime very, very soon. Have a good one, all.